would agree that the VA doctors are probably one of the best, but
Yeah,
at the same time, though, it takes a lot to make healthcare good. And
yeah,
if you're just I mean, you could go off the doctors, but if it's not accessible, if you got to wait 2 months to see a doctor,
yeah.
that affects the overall.
Well, yeah,
So it takes 2 months to see a therapist. If I could see that
that's
therapist every two
crazy.
weeks, it would be great,
Yeah,
but I can't. I mean, they got two things going for them. They got pretty good doctors, and it's free.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
those two things, I don't know if they, because it's time sensitive. A lot of the veteran issues, a lot. I mean,
Of course it is.
as the numbers show, it's a lot of suicide, and that's a time sensitive thing. So if anything, I don't know if I would pay
So
more to
on
see a
one
doctor or
side,
what.
it's absolutely fantastic, and on the other side, it's absolutely horrendous, man. I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Well, it
that
troubles me
makes
because it's got
yeah,
such an upside potential. Because like with healthcare, you can have, it's cost, accessibility, and quality. So they already got the cost problem solved. So it's really
yeah,
just like, and most like healthcare like systems can only do two of those three.
right,
Yeah.
But we have healthcare that's free, so all that they need to do is make it good quality and accessible.
right,
So
right.
that's what troubles me is I know that they can be better,
But
but
the problem, so
Yeah.
so I don't know if you gentlemen realize, like a few years ago, probably going on maybe close to 10 years at this point now, but I lived in Arizona back in the day when Arizona was literally there. The VA facility in Phoenix was like literally rated the worst in the country because people were dying, right? Like the wait, people needed medical, which is where all these new implementations and trying to expedite the process. And if you can't get an appointment with this a certain time, then we'll send you out. I mean, that's where all that came from, is because people were just dying. Now, I don't know how many of those patients were unfortunately, the sensitive subject of suicide. I don't know if what areas they were, but if they knew that there was a problem then, why can't they fix the problem now in terms of
Yeah.
this? It's the
Because
same
it seems
problem.
right, and it's been the same problem
Yeah.
for a while now, and I mean, I'm sure you could get the funding. I don't doubt that
it's
Of
the
the
course they can
government,
get this
bro.
funding, man.
You can print
yeah,
money, dude.
Do you guys
so
know that the VA has or the VA itself, you can look it up, but the government, the DOD itself has probably like $1 trillion budget a year,
right.
and that's spread across everything: VA, healthcare, all that good stuff, military, maybe even more than $1 trillion. I'm sure they can find probably, I don't know what it would cost, but $20 million to start to help veterans.
Yeah.
I don't
For
know,
them, that's
but
like a nickel.
yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not in the finance department there. I don't know who's making those decisions. Um, but even myself, right? Like when I go to the doctor, they want me to go. There's a clinic near me that's about 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away, or I go to the main one in Miami, which is about 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I generally go to the little one to do blood work, and they don't even want me going there anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Of course not.
Right? Because it's too easy. It's like, well, you want to help. I was like, listen, you guys, that's on. I'm the worst person to do this because I don't take no for an answer. And I said, listen, that's on you guys. I'm coming here for my blood work. You guys do whatever you need to do. I'm not going to go 45 minutes out of my way. Ultimately, it was because I'm totally permanently disabled, 100%. I had a vaccination that shut my kidneys down, right? So that was, and we can get into that's really what we want to get into, right?
Yeah.
What that did to me mentally, and what I needed to do in order to overcome that self-pity and that my life is over sort of nonsense, right? Because that's really what it's all about. How I overcame anxiety and that trauma of dealing with the medical issues, because I never was in battle, right? So but the medical issues really kind of screwed my head up for a while.
Yeah.
And once you start having anxiety and you have PTSD, because I don't really like to call what I had PTSD. I got anxiety from medical, right?
Mhm.
You know, my kidney shut down. I probably should have been dead in Korea. Like my blood pressure was so high, and it was the middle of monsoon season. This was 2003. I'd been there. I got there a month, and then within a month after getting there, I started getting these crazy symptoms, right? And ultimately, what led to me getting out of there was, you know, I couldn't run, even though I just come out of basic. My head felt like it was going to explode. I had no energy. It was just a huge. Ultimately, what happened was I was doing Taekwondo, and I felt dizzy. And again, this is in the middle of monsoon season where it's 90 degrees of heat with 100% humidity, nonsense, right? So I went to, ultimately what happened was I developed a blurry spot on my eye, and it didn't go away for about a week. So what happened was I went to sick call, right, to find out if I had a friggin' brain tumor or something, because that's generally the only thing. I heard that you can have vision problems. Well, they took my blood pressure, man, and my blood pressure resting was like 220/80.
Hell yeah.
Right. So they were like, Scott, you need to sit down because you're literally about to die. Like, that's what the nurse told me. And I was like, why? Is that bad? You know?
Yeah, I have no idea.
So think about this now. Those symptoms were because because my kidneys had failed, right? Like little signs, like cramping up, like for 30 seconds at a time when I woke up, having, you know, clear urine when I didn't drink a lot of water, having massive headaches all the time, having that, not being able to run. All of these were little symptoms that were adding up to the fact that what happened was ultimately my blood pressure. I mean, Jesus, when I was running in that heat, man, my blood pressure had to be probably close to 300.
Yeah.
You know what I mean,
Like,
man? Like,
kill me right
like
now.
just waiting, dude. I was just
Yeah.
waiting. My body's just waiting to be like, yeah, you're done. Have a great day. You're done.
Yeah.
But
All
what
that
happened,
from
luckily,
vaccine. God.
yeah, man, luckily what happened, I say luckily, but I had an aneurysm and popped the blood vessel in the back of my eye, right? Lucky me.
Yo.
That's what made me go in, because I'm sitting there, and this is how crazy your, you know, sergeants are and like, listen, Sergeant, I can't run. I'm like, my head's about to explode. My left arm is going numb. He's going, yeah, don't worry about it. So's mine. You know, it's the heat. And I'm like, okay, well, hell, no problem then, right?
Yeah.
Have a cigarette.
Yeah, like meanwhile, I'm dying over here, and I had no idea. So
Good Lord. Oh my
yeah, brother. So, you know, you go into sick bay, and I'm like, oh, this other guy's gonna, you know, so they send in a Black Hawk, and I'm thinking there's a stretcher coming in. I'm like, oh, it must be for this guy. Meanwhile, it's for me. You know, I'm not thinking that there's anything really wrong with me. Blood pressure's high, whatever. But yeah, as soon as they took my blood pressure, man, that was October maybe 18th in 2003. A month before actually, like what, a week before my birthday. Yeah, they medevaced me right up to Seoul. 3 days later, they did some tests, found out my kidneys failed, my blood pressure was through the roof. They medevaced me on a plane with an officer, with the captain, back to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, man, and that was it. You know,
and you know that nurse was not freaking out in front of you, and then went to the back room. It was like, yo,
He's gonna die.
Freaking
yeah,
die.
like guys, listen, this guy's code red, imminent, and
yeah, code
he's
whatever.
literally
Yeah.
about to die right now. So
Yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't even get back to my barracks. I didn't get back to anything. That was it, man. I was in that facility. I was in I was in Seoul. They might have, because I was in Humphreys at the time, right? I was in town. So I was down there in Sigint. Yeah, they medevaced me up to Seoul, man, and then 2 days later I was on a plane back to the States. So, you know, the funny thing is people are going, "Oh, you're going to Walter Reed. You're so lucky." I'm like, how am I lucky? like
Yeah.
I'm lucky? I'm dying? Like, what are you talking about? Like, they missed the big picture, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, man,
so anyway, yeah.
I'm excited to get into it. We'll launch our intro.
Yeah, get into it, man, because I
started.
got great experiences from Walter Reed. It really woke me up, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
Or military health. So,
all right, welcome back, everybody. Episode 55. We got Scott here. Scott, how you doing today, man?
fantastic, gentlemen. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Great to meet you both.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get into this one, man. Kevin, how you feeling?
Better than you. No, I'm good, dude. Nice and overcast here in Tennessee, but I'm excited to get into this, dude.
Yeah,
My
I'm
friend just
feeling
went to
good.
Tennessee, went on a bourbon trek out there.
Yo,
Oh,
it
that's the
looks
place
like
to go.
it looks like Twilight. Like there's a filter or something outside.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could use the
I
last.
tell you what. I get out there to Tennessee. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to show me around all the best distilleries.
Oh, dude, and we can go to Broadway too. Are you married?
Yeah, I would love that. I've heard of it.
Are you married?
Are
That's
you
a good
married?
question to ask.
I am not. No, man. I'm single.
Oh, dude. Oh,
Broadway
yeah.
is the place to be.
Yo, yeah. What are
That's
you
why
doing?
you're in Miami.
What are you doing this Sunday? Hell.
Fantastic. I look forward to it. Definitely.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'll be heading out to Chicago here in a little bit, then driving back. So I'll get to see Kevin. Hopefully, our next show is in person. We're working on that. Hopefully, you got something good
Nice.
for us. Yeah.
Nice.
Ran into a friend. Just a real quick funny story. Our last episode with Carlos posted it, and right after I posted, maybe an hour after, I got a text message from a buddy I met before the military, and he said, "Dude, you just had my boy Carlos on." I had no idea they knew each other. This dude lives like 45 minutes away. Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, so now he's trying to come on, and we got perhaps a second sponsor, which is a bourbon, Second Amendment bourbon.
Hell yeah.
So that'll be pretty cool. We'll see what happens through that, but that's next week. Now we got Scott on. Scott, man, I'm curious. I like to go through what made people go into the Army because it kind of prefaces the mental health issues that come after. Because so for me, when I was getting medically discharged, it seems similar to your story. The medical is what messed with my brain the most. That's what started making me think, all right, do I have other problems from the military? And that was kind of like the trigger to get everything going. And the biggest problem I had dealing with all of that and getting medically discharged was I wanted to do this for 20 years. My plan was to do this for 20 years. So I'm curious what kind of led you into the military and what were your thoughts going in?
Actually, this is the ultimate decider of what triggered me is actually a movie, believe it or not. So, I was working as a stockbroker in New York, right? So I went right to work out of school, didn't go to college, went right to work. Started in the financial industry on Wall Street with a friend of mine at his brokerage firm, his small brokerage firm. So that's how I got into finance originally. And
Wall Street over here, man.
Wall Street over here, correct, man. And because I'm from Jersey,
Okay.
And I grew up with a bunch of blue collar guys, the truckers, the plumbers. My mom's family, they were all white collar people, but my fathers were all blue collar people. I got a bunch of friends that just work hard, that hustle, that make great money. And, I'll believe it or not, some of the most successful guys on Wall Street that I knew growing up were the kids from Brooklyn and New York and Jersey that just hustled. They weren't highly educated, but they just knew how to hustle. And they made a lot of money doing that. So, I mean, that was a great thing. But ultimately what happened was 9/11. So 9/11 happened, and I knew people in the World Trade Center. I had just moved back to New Jersey from New York. And, I didn't really think about joining the Army at that point. Actually, I'm lying to you. I did, because what happened was, sorry, so let me back that up. I had thought about it at that point. Because of Gladiator, believe it or not. So I was sitting here on Wall Street, wheeling and dealing and making a great living. And then, I got a shock of guilty conscience when I saw Gladiator. And it really sounds crazy, but I sat there and I saw that movie, man. And that movie really affected me because it's like, wow, what an amazingly honorable guy that this guy is. And even though the movie is based on somewhat reality, this story is based on somewhat reality, but there's got to be somebody out there that did like this. And that's just truly inspirational to me. The honor that this guy had and the integrity that this guy had, really.
That Russell Crowe movie.
Yeah. And it really, it really helped motivate me. I said, you know what, man, I'm going to do something honorable with my life. I have to. I was like, you know, I love the World Trade Centers. I used to love going to the restaurant in the world, Windows on the World Trade Center. It's an amazing, amazing place. When I used to go into New Jersey, go from New Jersey to New York in the mornings around 7 o'clock in the morning, the World Trade Centers were absolutely sun-kissed. You know, they look like two gold bars. They're beautiful. The buildings just lit up gold, man. And
That's
those
a
two
view.
buildings look like
It's a
two
view we
gold.
never saw. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can look up pictures of them and it looks incredible, but that's what I got to view. And you know, plus I knew people in the World Trade Center, like a lot of people did, because there was a lot of people in those trade centers, and I took it personally. So that's ultimately at 28 years old, I joined the Army. However, I didn't mean to join the Army. I meant to join the Marines.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So I went to Morristown. I said, you know what? Who's got the most badass looking uniform? Marines, without a doubt. Right?
Yep.
Marines got the most. I said, you know what? I'm going to be a Marine. Recruiter stood me up. So you know how in most of those recruiting stations, you have all of them in the same place, right?
Yeah.
So of course, the Army recruiters, there was a couple of sergeants over there, and they, you know, all of a sudden start whispering sweet nothings into your ear. And what are you looking to do? And I said, look, man, I want a top secret security clearance. I want to go DOD, Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, something intelligence wise after this to really, you know, help this country out. That's what my goal was. So I became ultimately, at first they were talking to me about a CIA counterintelligence agent, which sounded fantastic. However, when I went to MEPS, there was nothing available. But there was SIGINT, and they were paying at the time, it was a 6-year, $12,000 bonus. I said, yeah, that sounds fantastic, right? So
What the heck?
SIGINT, Signals Intelligence, was basically the military arm of the NSA. All right, so that's what we did. So, you know, writing reports to the director of the NSA, potentially to the president of the United States, that sounded pretty cool to me, you know, Signals Intelligence. Spy kind of shit. Excuse my language. I don't know if I'm
that sounds like some Men in Black type shit right there.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. It's what the NSA does, basically. You know what I mean? Like that metadata, analyzing those data streams and what the hell people are saying and why they're saying. I was trained in opposing forces. I was trained to listen to Korean communication. I think some of this is eligible to be spoken to. I think it's been long enough. I can release some of it, but yeah. So we basically listened to the Korean communications and wrote reports on what they were doing. Were they doing live fire training? Were they doing, their pattern communications is what we were looking for. We were looking for pattern communications. What are they saying? What does that mean?
This is the North Koreans, I assume?
Yeah, correct. So we worked closely with what are called KATUSAs, which are the Korean soldiers. They basically translated and we wrote those reports flash op override and reports on what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, so you weren't speaking Korean.
Yo, I was going to say, I thought they had their own language in North Korea.
No, I wasn't speaking Korean. I actually wanted to get a language, right? So my goal was to go to the Monterey language, what is it? Defense Language Institute, DLI, right? Yeah, in Monterey, California. So anyway, that's how I ended up getting into the military, basically. So
that's
wow.
Luckily, there was somebody older. Luckily, there was one guy that was older than me by like 4 years, and so they used to call him Old Man River, not me. So because I mean I was 10 years older than the average kid there. So
I'm curious to look at the recruitment and the recruitment rate after 9/11 versus before, because we've had a couple people on the show now that was the trigger. All right, I'm going in.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, I was 18 when I decided, 19 when I decided, 2017, 2016.
Mhm.
And that was a factor for me too. That was 15 years later, and I still was thinking, oh, 9/11, I want to go over there because of that. It's still
Right.
doesn't
Right.
feel right, you know.
No, it doesn't, man. You know, my drill
Yeah.
sergeant used to make fun of me because I entered a little bit over, BMI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
guilty,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I will say this, luckily, they weren't hard on me because they weren't as hard on me. They gave me a break because of my age, because of my experience. And remember how you go in, I don't know if you guys did this, but they make you within like the first couple of weeks write an essay on why you joined. So
Oh, that's pretty cool. We didn't get to do
Yeah,
that.
not us.
so they knew that I joined from a lucrative career and gave up a finance career to join. So they had mad respect for me for that,
Yeah.
My drill sergeant, and they were like, he's hardcore infantry guys. Like, Valenti, like, you can't PT for shit, but I respect the hell out of why you joined. But man, so it was, he had respect for me, but I had to get my PT up there, man. And I finally earned his respect when I lost crazy weight,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think I lost a couple pounds in basic
yeah, man.
training.
I lost
brother.
I got down to the thinnest I'd ever been. I was down to like 162 at 5'9",
Wow.
which was thin for me, man. Yeah. So he was like, "You got skinny as hell, Valenti," my drill sergeant used to say. So I, that made me proud, man. That made me very proud. Yeah.
I would think it would be pretty obvious why most people would join right after 9/11. Like,
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah, why you had to write those? Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of people don't, like, some people, especially like in mid-America, they don't have a lot of, there's not a whole lot of opportunity, especially in these small farming communities. Like, it's not like Miami where you can go out and get a service job just about anywhere, right? Make a living in Miami doing it. But, a lot of these people don't really have a whole lot to come from sometimes. And the military is a great way for them to get to the next level.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people join out of necessity, and a lot of people join because of legacy and because they want those benefits of the GI Bill and all those good things as well.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing is I wanted the benefits, and then I also wanted to start something that my kids would see and make them want to join. Like
Legacy. You want to start the legacy.
Right, exactly. I didn't really have it as like my dad wasn't in. My uncle was and my grandpa was for a little bit, but my dad never went in, and I was like, you know what? My brothers aren't going to do it. My sisters, and I don't want my sister to do it. So I guess it's me. And so I went in, and I had a great time until the medical discharge paper showed up.
Yeah.
Is that
I
mean,
we got asked that in basic training. I'm like, oh, why did I join the Army? I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
You know what? Wait a second. What the hell was I thinking at the time?
Yeah.
What? Was I drunk? What?
No, but like they had like the MOS, like the jobs list, right? And I picked human intelligence collector because it sounded badass.
That does sound pretty cool.
But I totally failed the top secret security clearance interview.
Okay.
Like, we didn't talk to our neighbors, and my mom put someone that she worked with down as a reference. And the guy goes, "Do you know this person?" And I thought he was messing with me, seeing if I would lie. So I'm like, "No." He's like, "You don't know this person?" I'm like, "Hell no." Just close the book. He's like, "All right, bro, you're good to go. Pick another job."
Why? Because they put it down as you knew them, but you didn't?
Yeah, pretty much. My mom put down that this lady we knew as a family, and she could vouch that we were, I guess, good people. And there I show up like, "No, I've never heard of that." I mean, I didn't. I was telling the truth.
Oh, that's brutal. So you got, the funny thing is, man, that was with the FBI when you had your FBI interview?
Probably. Some dude in a suit,
man. Everybody I went to intel training with got FBI, went to their house, they talked to them, they interviewed. I actually didn't even get that. They never interviewed me for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why.
It's like I'm 17. What am I going to be in the Taliban? Like,
right.
What the heck?
Right now, the NSA is actually decoding that word that you just said, and they're decoding you.
Yeah.
Looking back, are you glad you joined the Marine Corps? Because I almost joined them too.
No. I didn't join the Marines. I joined the Army.
Well, yeah. Like, are you glad that you didn't get to join the Marine Corps?
Yeah. Well, first off, it's not a good sign when the recruiter, sets up and then they don't show up. That's not a good thing. So he lost his chance right then and there. I waited for him for like 40 minutes, and then I just started talking to the Army gentleman, and
Yeah, mine was the same way. I went into the little building, and
Yeah.
the only people ever there were the army guys. So I was like, I
Yeah.
guess I'll
So
talk to them.
meant to be,
Yeah,
man. So
Yeah, this
yeah,
dude calls me up and he's like, "I'm Sergeant so and so. Do you have any felonies?" I'm like, "No." "Could you pass a drug test?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably." He's like, "Do you have any kids?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "All right, cool. I'll see you tomorrow at 3." I'm like, "Okay, whatever.
oh,
Okay."
okay.
yeah,
They're
Yeah.
aggressive, man. They're aggressive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
No, so at 28, because a lot of what I think about when I was joining, I didn't know anything, dude. I was
Oh
19,
my
didn't know a damn
God.
thing about the world at all. But at 28, it'll be a little different. So, how
Yeah.
did that kind of reshape your view on the world, like on America? Did it affect you in that way at all?
It was a challenge. Yeah. It was going to be a challenge. And I knew that going into it because I'm a very sort of direct person and I question everything. So yeah, I question everything.
Oh God.
Yeah. However, that said, I'll tell you a story about how I used to just go into the, like, as I was holdover waiting for my security clearance. I was paying off some debt, right? Because you can't go in with more than $2,000 of debt. They
Oh
will
wow.
not
What
give you a
the
security
hell?
clearance. Yeah, because you can be bought.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what they're
Yeah.
looking for, really. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can be bought, right? So you have to have a minute, and that's a low number, two grand. So so I had to pay off some debt. So I was a holdover. While I was a holdover, I was working at battalion because again, as 28, they let me do things as a grown up as opposed to, let's say, 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds. My first sergeant, I had a great relationship with him, and they used to let me off base to go out and party. So I could
Oh.
actually go out and party, right? So yeah. Plus, I'm a salesman, man, and I was able to sell. So,
So it was y'all's generation that made us have all these rules then.
perhaps it's possible. It's
Yeah.
possible, right? So,
Can't be mad.
myself and another intel holdover, we used to just we got adopted, let's say, by battalion. So we would go up there and just, I would talk to the colonel, the full bird colonel, and I would talk to the command sergeant major, and we would have just great conversations. I mean, obviously, there's still always the respect and
Yeah.
but I used to eat lunch and dinner with the command sergeant major, you know,
What were you, an
and
E4 at the time? Around then?
I wasn't like an E2.
Oh my God, this dude.
So, we're sitting there, but here's the problem with what happened. I was actually just on the phone with a future client of mine who's also a full bird colonel, right, up in Tampa. And so what happened was it really, some of the drill sergeants, not the ones that I went through basic with, but the others from other companies, they really started resenting me and my other battle because of the fact that we were able to pretty much walk around like regular Army, right? They didn't treat us like trainees. They treated us like we were regular Army.
God
I mean,
forbid.
hell, people even came up to me like, what? We went to a, like, I'm the kind of guy, I walked into so they were trying to convince me when I was a holdover to just change jobs, Scott, change jobs. I was like, I did not leave a career to join and just go into anything, man. I have a very specific purpose why I'm here, and I'm not going
Yeah.
to sit there and do it for any other reason.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with the lieutenant commander, right? The lieutenant colonel of the company, the head of the company. And I went in there. He's like, Scott, he's like, blah, 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 blah. We were having this conversation about me being a holdover and trying to, I was like, look, I'll just quit. He's like, you can't quit. He's like, you can't quit. I was like, yeah, I'll quit. I'll find a way to quit. I was like, I'm not here just to do whatever I want, just for the sake. I wanted a purpose. There was a reason for me joining, right? So he understood that, and the company commanders, and they all gave me respect in the way that I wasn't about to just let go of my beliefs, man. So that right there tells you that conviction wins the day. Conviction and integrity and having a purpose wins the day, guys. At the end of the day, nobody is going to convince you to do something that you have a right belief in. So ultimately, the point was that these other, I was going off base, going to clubs, seeing my drill sergeants that I went through basic with,
Oh God.
and some of them did. The men didn't care. The woman, the female one that was a basic trade. That was my trade. That was my basic drill, my drill instructor. Of course, it's like, you can't go anywhere without seeing these privates. Meanwhile, she's 23, I'm 28, and it's like a big deal. Like
do the math.
Like, come on. I mean, like, understand that I'm a trainee, but but anyway, that's just the way it is.
But come on.
Yeah, but they some of the drill sergeants, they ended up really trying to make my life difficult, and they did.
Of course.
And they did. And of course they did, just because they could.
Yeah.
Just
that's because, like that's just like power.
It's all it was, is a power trip.
Yeah.
So
it sucked for me. It's got to suck for you too.
Yeah, man. But I don't generally tolerate that. So I went there in my mind, maybe arrogantly, I was like, listen, man, I'm not here to deal with your petty power trips. I don't care who you are. You're not a freaking full bird colonel. You're not you're a sergeant in the Army. Okay. Let's get a grip on your power trip, because you can do what you have. And so I made some phone calls, and ultimately, the brass was brought down on, the company and the first sergeant, and which I didn't want the first sergeant involved, because that kind of ruined our relationship. And I had a great relationship with him. And we actually talked about it after. And everything became fine at the end. But ultimately, yeah. So my point was, listen, man, I'll go in there and I'm just asking Colonel questions, right? I'm asking the Colonel questions like, what do you think about this? And, well, wait, why would you do that? And, just being myself, like I'm a 5-year-old. And then I got, Staff Sergeant going, Scott, what are you doing? It's like, you're sitting over here questioning a full bird colonel. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, I'm not questioning him in terms of, answer me this. I'm just curious, I just have a curious personality. But that's kind of funny, the way that the colonel didn't seem to give a shit. But but the sergeants were like, Scott, what are you doing? Like,
I mean, I think it helped. Yeah, you're asking the colonel like actual questions, not just
like I'm interested to know, like, why do we do this? Why do you do this? Well, he's like, Scott, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, you shouldn't be doing this. Like,
if you had told me some shit like that, Trev, I'd have got fucking pissed.
So yeah, man. So I only went to one duty station. I only went to the Korean, and I got through. So that was it. My career was over.
What you had to get a vaccine before going to Korea, or at Korea,
so I had to get like a yellow fever and a typhoid fever vaccination. So a month after I got there, I started just getting those symptoms that I was telling you guys about. Mm-hmm. Got injured, went back there. So I think that you guys are probably more interested though in what happened to me in the transition within the hospital. Yeah.
So like, because I could imagine if, first off, there's the stigma that don't go to sick call, and then like you're saying, you're running and everyone just saying suck it up.
Right.
There's no difference between Korea and where we were in Tennessee. It's
no. Tennessee, Missouri, all those places have the same exact kind of, monsoon season, hot with humidity weather, right?
Yeah, and there's nothing you could do, and then you're thinking, all right, well, no, my knee is really messed up. Let me go in, and everyone's saying, what are you going in for, dude? You got to skip PT to go in. You got to be here for like I can't skip a 2-mile run for myself. What is this? It's complete bullshit.
It's like the eggs.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, you get harassed.
Yeah. It's like the eggs they got at the chow hall. It's like you could go on the moon, Afghanistan, Antarctica, Tennessee. They'll always be the same. Sick the same way.
Yeah. So then you show up. You finally get when did it click? When you realized the Black Hawk was for you? You're like, oh no, when
they actually started strapping me to the stretcher is when I realized that it was. I was like, who is this for? And they're like, yeah, Scott, you need to lay down here in this thing. I was like,
you're thinking you're good the whole time, right? Or at least not.
I mean, yeah, man, I'm walking around. I feel fine, other than the blurry vision, other than the fact that my blood. I didn't really know anything about blood pressure at that time.
Yeah, man. See, that's like the same thing. They like held my information back from me. First off, I didn't know I had scoliosis, and then I went through a whole little process. My back was hurting. I was getting. It wasn't like too crazy of symptoms, but my right hip would start like popping every time I ran over a mile. It started popping. My back started tingling. So I went in for it, and they said I was fine. Go get inserts. So I went to go get inserts, and then the next day I went in, or the next week I went in because I had a hockey injury, just trying to get some free ibuprofen.
Mm.
And the lady pulls me in the room and has the monitors with everything like wrong with me. You can't be in with scoliosis. Here's the reg that says it, and here's your paperwork started. And yeah, just
What?
like you, I was like, oh man, like this
Hey,
is
thank
it?
you for your service, but you're on your way out.
Yeah, see, I know
Oh,
you're
brother.
capable of doing everything, but
There's
you're
the
out of
door.
here.
Man.
Yeah. No, so that feeling of, oh my God, I went out to the car and called my mom immediately crying because I was like, Mom, it's all shattered. Like everything.
Yeah,
They just came and visited me. I had a house. I was 19 house. I was getting divorced. So they saw my
I'm
house
sorry to hear
after
that.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like right before too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man,
it
that's
was
awful.
like, right. So everything, it was just a whole mental, like it's all gone. Everything's
Yeah.
over. With that hit, or
And that
were you?
messes your head up too a lot, man.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really
exactly.
does, you know?
Because
Yeah,
like
I
you,
remember.
I had a purpose. I'm going in. All
Yeah.
right. I found my job, helicopter engine mechanic. I love what I'm doing. I'm willing
Yeah.
to do it for the country. And then all of a sudden, my purpose is just shattered.
Right.
He went to
Right.
sick call and he comes back and he's like, they're kicking me out the army. I'm like, what the
That's
fuck?
crazy.
What the heck?
Crazy.
It ain't even lunchtime yet. What the hell?
Are you disabled too?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not.
Both of you are.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're not permanent. In total, is I think it is, but
Yeah.
it was
It's tough though, man.
it
It's
was
tough.
yeah,
It's
it
tough.
was just weird. So
Changes
did
your
you
life.
get that? Did you get? When did you know it was the vaccine? When did they tell you that? They had no idea. You were just in the hospital. They were
Well,
going
so they
through all
came
the
up with a
kidney stuff.
generic, and I don't think they would have admitted it anyway, but there's no real definitive. I mean, honestly, there's no real definitive answer. Ultimately, I just had to try to put two and two together. Like, what did I do differently?
Yeah.
Right. And you know of people, if you research military, veteran, vaccination issues and problems, I mean, you will see how, I mean, there's people that remember orientation. There's that one day where you go through just nothing but vaccinations.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah. You go through
like World War II.
You get like 7 or 8 different shots, or people
Yeah.
die doing
Yeah.
that stuff, man. So, the anthrax vaccination, man. I met a couple
Oh,
of guys
yeah.
Brother,
that
dude.
messed up a lot of people, man. I was at Walter Reed with numerous guys that were overseas that had to get that,
Well, I asked the sick call lady once. I was like, "Why do we get an anthrax vaccine?" Like, I'd only heard of anthrax being mailed to people a while ago. She's
Yeah.
like, "It's in the dirt in Afghanistan." I'm like, "How is anyone alive over there?" Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Is anyone alive over there?
That
Yo,
doesn't make sense.
that shit hurts bad. If you ever got an anthrax vaccine, you're lucky. But
No, you had one?
oh, we got.
Oh,
what,
we got it. It was like every time we went in for a shot, it was you need anthrax too.
Oh my
It's
God.
like once
Every
a month.
single time. I probably got it 15 times.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
dude,
it was
it was-
every single time you had to go in for a
Yeah,
shot.
'cause-
For some reason, I needed another
Have
anthrax.
you guys even studied the side effects to anthrax vaccination at
I'd
all?
rather not, honestly.
You probably listen. You probably should, even though it's probably not something that you want to see. But at least you may, if God forbid, if something starts out, you may be able to take care of it early. But
Yeah, because that's what I thought with the COVID vaccines. I was like, bro, I've gotten like 10 anthrax shots. This
Yeah.
shit probably isn't going to kill me first, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my doctor keeps asking me to take the COVID vaccination, and I'm just like, yeah, doc. But he knows my background. He's just like, Scott, vaccinate. Yeah, I'm good, doc. He's like, all right,
Yeah,
just
no
had to
way.
ask. Yeah, they know, man. Like, don't even come to me. Like, I'll take the flu vaccination and the what is that? What's the one worse than the flu that older people generally get?
Oh,
their-
polio?
No, the one that goes in the lungs that basically suffocates you.
Oh, God, I don't know.
Dude.
I'll take a vaccine for that, though. Shit.
Yeah, that sounds worth it.
What the heck is it? It's there's the flu, and then there's
It's like
pneumonia,
MMR. Oh.
Ah,
What
right?
was that one?
So-
Smallpox gives you a scar on the arm?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
where's it at? Where's
So
it at?
yeah, a lot
I
of
got mine
people
covered up. Yeah.
I don't think I actually got a scar. I don't know if I had smallpox. I had chickenpox vaccine. I don't know if I got the smallpox, but maybe I did actually. But yeah, so I think the hardest thing is because when it first happens, like so it really sort of screwed up my mental state, right?
Yeah.
And this is what people don't realize. Like, it's not the illness necessarily itself, because they were taking care of me, and they were giving me my private room at Walter Reed. And I was like, okay, guys, listen, just cut the BS. Am I going to die? Like, you guys are being overly nice, right? Like, you guys are putting me in a private room by myself. Why are you doing this? Am I freaking dying or what?
Red flag.
Right. So, but no, that wasn't the case. I had to be on dialysis and all that great stuff, which is an absolute nightmare. I don't wish on anyone, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But so ultimately, to help you guys out and to help other veterans, I was at the bottom of the barrel, right? Actually, it was my 30th birthday in the freaking hospital, right? My 30th birthday in the hospital, doing dialysis, great times. And so the hardest part was what I had to go through was, first of all, not feeling sorry for yourself, right? Because the first thing you want to do is feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
Walter Reed got me over that immediately, right? I saw vets. Like, you're sitting here feeling sorry for yourself, and then I see veterans in wheelchairs with no arms, no legs, no arms or friggin' legs. And then it's like, holy crap, man, who the hell am I to feel sorry for myself?
Can I ask real quick, though?
Yeah.
Like, did they tell you, like, there's no real cure for this? You're kind of just screwed?
No. So I had to have a kidney transplant.
Oh.
So it's a very common
only
thing.
a kidney. Okay.
Yeah. Believe it or not, it's actually pretty common these days, man.
Yeah.
Most people that go through this are actually like diabetics, and they're very susceptible. And people with lupus, it's an immune disorder, they go through this a lot. Somebody like me, I have no kidney problems. I have no real diabetes issues. It's just a freak of nature, which is what made me realize it was most likely. I mean, I don't have 100% guarantee on it, but I'm pretty sure that's the only thing I've done differently. Didn't have diabetes, didn't have any of that stuff. But so, in terms of that, to help those soldiers out there that think that it's hopeless, right? Because that's exactly, and to this day, man, you still conquer that fear.
Yep.
It's like smoking. Once it's ingrained in you, and once you smoke, the smell of a cigarette makes you always generally want one, regardless, right? As soon as I found that out, I quit smoking. But I smell it, and I see somebody on TV having a good. I'm like, man, that looks good.
Yeah.
Problem is, when I actually take a hit of a cigarette, it's disgusting now.
It tastes gross now once you stop.
It tastes gross, man, and it makes me taste. It tastes like an ashtray, and that's what keeps me from smoking.
Well, I used to smoke menthols, and I'm like, this smells minty. How could people have a problem? And then I quit and smoked one like 6 months later. I'm like, bro, this is disgusting. What the hell?
It doesn't. It makes me. If I smoke a hit, it makes me nauseous now. If I'm like really, really, really like out partying and I'm a little bit tipsy and so forth, and I have to be more than tipsy, but there's a family show. So, but
yes, sir.
If I smoke one, man, I'm just grossed out,
Yeah.
But I'll probably smoke another one just because.
I mean, once you get the first one.
But it's just like, when I'm sober, it'll never happen. So, I think that it's mindset and being able to pick up. I think the biggest thing for people is recognizing when they're about to go down a rabbit hole, right? When they're about to have an anxiety attack, when their mindset changes, being able to recognize that trigger is what propelled me. I mean, when I first went in, my thought was, okay, I'm on dialysis now. I have a tube sticking out of my stomach to do, peritoneal dialysis instead of hemodialysis and all that kind of nonsense. This is embarrassing to when I have a date and, whatever. But most women actually don't care, man. They don't care. They understand when you went through and they don't care. So
want to see my tube real quick, babe?
Yeah. Like, not to be gross, but, there was times where I was having affairs with a lady and my tube would get caught underneath her. It would pull out of my stomach. So, I'm like, oh, we got to move. So, good times. But, at that point, the mental state is, what am I working for? What do I want to work for? That was the hardest thing. And to this day, I still sort of fight that, right? But I've been able to change my mindset because what am I working so hard for, man? I don't know how long I'm going to live. I'm not going to live that long. I'm not going to live a full life. What the hell am I going to work for? I could be dead tomorrow. Like, that's that's what really people need to know about, is that mental state of people. And most people, I don't think, can actually get to the root of the problem. All right. But I've always been very good at analyzing myself.
Yeah.
How do you start that process, Sam? Like, say I'm a vet and I'm just depressed.
You're depressed. I've been there, man. Yeah. You have to believe that, what the hell am I talking about? You have to learn from other people, right? So the one thing that helped me was when I went there, when I realized it was all over and I saw these veterans, as crazy as it sounds, but our brothers and sisters are the inspiration. They are the ones that I look to, because I went in there, and who the hell am I to feel sorry for myself? Who the hell am I to sit here and say, well, I can't do this because I'm hurt? When I see a guy with no legs with a smile on his face, who the hell am I to sit there and feel sorry for myself? Honestly, I would probably rather go through what I went through than seeing another person than going through what that person went through. In my mind, listen, this guy's got one leg, one arm, or he ran over freaking IED, and now he's going to be in a wheelchair, or he's going to have prosthetics the rest of his life. Who the hell am I to sit here and feel sorry for myself? And there was one gentleman in particular that stands out. Literally the worst of the worst that you could possibly get, in my mind, in terms of physical disabilities. And that is, this gentleman walked around. He was a Green Beret. I never said hello to him, and to this day I regret that, because this guy is what really motivated me. Okay, Green Beret, never said a word to him. However, I saw him all the time, and he had obviously been hit with some sort of flame all over his body.
Oh my God.
Skin grafts all over his face. I mean, not to be cynical or anything, but he looked like Freddy Krueger, right? Mm-hmm. That kind of skin grafts. And I mean, when you look at him, it's like the first thing that comes to my mind is a woman is going to have a very hard time loving this poor guy. Like, this guy's a hero. Whatever he did, he went through this, and now, God bless this guy. Hopefully, he's a good person and he finds happiness. Because that is a challenge. People going everywhere you go, people are going to look at you differently. You're going to be. And once I saw this guy, and I saw him with shoulders high, that Delta Force attitude, still walking through life that changed my life. Because go ahead.
Can I ask? So, like, my sister's a nurse in a mental health hospital.
Yeah.
And she says that, like, there's a problem where we say other people have it so bad. Who am I to complain? Right.
Right.
But she says what can happen is that can almost make you invalidate how you feel. So
that's fine.
Yeah.
That is what I want. Personally, that's what I want. I don't want to validate the fact that I'm sick. Ask any motivated handicapped person out there, do you feel like you have a disability? They'll say no, man. They'll say no.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like, you're not your disability. Yeah.
I'm not disabled. There's no reason for me to feel sorry for myself. That's the mental state that you have to get into. Otherwise, you will always feel sorry for yourself. Because it's like, well, what about me? What about my feelings? You know what, man? I want people to learn from my experience. Okay? The problem is, most people that I've spoken to, like my friend, the psychotherapist I was telling you gentlemen about earlier, I don't know what his solution is to help people. I know what helped me. I know what my solution is. And it really boils down to just picking yourself apart mentally.
Yeah, that's hard, because once
people
you start,
are in denial,
you don't stop.
Man. They don't want to believe that there's something wrong with them.
Right. Just like I don't want to look at the anthrax side effects because of that. Like, it's the same.
But the only way to diagnose something, the only way forward, is to resolve the problem. And the problem lies within. And if you can't take a look inside yourself, you'll never be able to do that.
Yeah, I had a hard time dealing with that. Because really, anyone my age, my parents, big thing of what my parents do and their generation was just work through it. Like, just, who cares? I'm going to go to work. I'm going to work 2 jobs. I don't want to think about it. And I got home and I was, exactly. I was just thinking about it. My mom said, go to work. I said, Mom, if I go to work, all of this is going to come up at work. Now everyone around me is affected. And I still haven't dealt with it. I still haven't dealt with it. But to what you're saying about the looking at other people, that's exactly what got me started on the path of bettering myself. I was
Yeah.
going through a divorce and I thought it was the worst thing in the world. I grew up, my parents are still married now. They're going on like 30 years. I never thought of myself as someone who would get divorced. And
Yeah.
it tore me up. And I came into work one day and Kevin said, dude, you're not the first person to go through this. Well, I don't know
In
why
the
you
army.
like, yeah, you're not the first. There's people out here. And then we've had a couple people on the show now that are fighting, like fighting for their lives to get their kids back from court because they got divorced because she cheated on them while they're overseas.
Yeah.
And
That people, honestly, to that point, man, that's a huge effect. I mean, let's be honest. Some military people, and some people in general probably deserve it. But the fact is that a lot of you see these movies. You know what the most realistic movie about spouses in the army was?
Can I guess real quick?
Yeah.
Jarhead.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah!
brother, hand me a rock, Trev. Oh,
Yep.
yo,
Yep.
from 3.
High five, brother. Yeah.
Swear to God.
That one scene tells it all, man. Like,
Mhm.
you got these movies that are great, and maybe it was back like that back during Vietnam. But one of my favorite war movies, obviously, is We Were Soldiers, right? That Mel Gibson one. That's a great military movie. And you got all these veterans' wives, and they're all like so loyal. And every movie I see, all the wives are just so loyal. And and listen, don't get me wrong. Some of these guys deserve everything they get. I'm not saying that it's all the wives' fault, but people misunderstand that it's hard to be alone for a year.
Yeah.
You're talking that scene where he gets the VHS tape of his wife doing someone else.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Jarhead, though. Y'all check out
Jarhead. No other movie that I've seen, military movie, portrays that realism.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the boringness too.
Yeah, dude, because everybody wants to believe that military. Look, I used to tell people, look, this is the last thing people wanted to know. Like, look, man, military has both the greatest and the worst of people, right? You have some of the laziest people on the planet that join the military because it's an easy job. You don't really need results in some cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, if we're going to be honest, right? So on the other side of it, you have people, though, that are literally heroes, sacrificing their lives for this country and for the good of their families, right? And guys like you that just happen to get a raw deal trying to do what you wanted to do. And to answer your question, Trevor, when people come up to me, Scott, oh my God, thank you for your service. Like, look, man, I did one duty tour for 3 months and I was out. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I feel guilty when people tell me that. And they're like, well, how'd you get injured? Right. And it's like, well, at first I started telling people, well, I was in combat, but that didn't last because I started telling people the truth because I told like 1 or 2 people, but I felt like such a scumbag saying that.
Yeah.
And the reason I did is because people don't, it was almost like people were disappointed to hear the fact that I got a vaccination.
Yeah. The realism from it. Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, okay. They're like, oh yeah. Well, I'm like, yeah, listen, I wasn't, I didn't have a grenade go off next to me. I didn't run over an IED, man. I got a vaccination problem.
Yeah,
like,
I take back my thank you for your service.
Yeah. It was like, I mean, I'm a very humble kind of guy in some ways. And to me, that's, people love to hear that hero story, like, oh man, like, but people,
I don't have one either. Yeah.
Yo,
and
there's so much
what you're saying.
Yeah. People still respect the hell out of you, though. They still do, man. They still do.
Like people say, "Oh, you're not a real soldier till you get to your unit. You're not a real soldier till you deploy." And after, you're not a real soldier till you get shot in the head and die and get a medal.
Right. You keep going and going and going, right? So, but I will never claim to be the same. I mean, look, I was intel. I was 50 miles behind enemy lines, right? So, I'm not the same soldier as you guys going out there and actually fighting.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing too. Is me and Kevin with our job, we were doing the most we could do within the Army. The most we could do within our job, like supporting, like you said, we were supporting Delta Force, supporting SEALs. We were doing the most we could possibly do, and around that environment, that's exactly what it was. Is I would come home, and anything I went through, I'd be like, well, what? Yeah, bomb's going off, but it didn't go off near me. And I would invalidate it. And then I'd go to therapy and I'd be like, all right, well, she said, what happened? And I'd tell her about it like it was no big deal. She's like, no, this is why you shake. This is why you can't sleep. And I'm like, what? Like, then what are the other people doing? Like,
Oh, how we'd wear
Right,
headphones whenever
exactly.
we went out, Trevor, bro. You remember that shit?
what?
We would wear headphones whenever we went out to like a public place for like
Oh
a
yeah,
year and a half or 2 years, dude.
So yeah, because anything could just automatically set you off.
right. I
Pretty
don't want to look at
much.
anyone grocery shopping. I'm here. I'm gonna get my chicken. I'm gonna leave. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not paying attention to anyone else.
People don't get that. And Kevin, just so you guys are aware, like it's not the same thing, but the PTSD, is real for soldiers like yourself. Me, I don't really consider what I had PTSD, although I guess maybe I did from the medical side of things, right? Right now I'm so in tune to my body, every little thing I notice within my body and has the potential of setting off my anxiety, right? It has, without my knowledge, without your knowledge, right? So I'll give you the perfect example. When I was in San Antonio after I left, this was like 2005 or 6 or something like that, 7. I was driving down the street, window was open, had my seatbelt on, and all of a sudden my seatbelt started vibrating very quickly, like just so rapidly. Now I had gone into, while I was on dialysis, nurses had messed up sort of solutions and things, and they'd put me into seizures, right?
Whoa, is that all?
Yeah. So now I'd been in seizures, shaky, whatever. So now I'm going down the highway doing whatever. My seatbelt starts just vibrating like from the wind, and automatically my mindset went to panic attack mode because it didn't know the difference between the shaking. It just felt the shaking, and I didn't know where it was coming from at first. And because I didn't know, the uncertainty is what caused it. That is what woke me up to how to get over anxiety and panic attacks. That right there taught me everything I need to know. It's not the fact that you know is what the problem. It's what you don't know that causes the problem. It's what you don't understand. My body and my mind did not know that it was the seatbelt vibrating that caused that. As soon as I picked up on the fact that it was just the seatbelt vibrating and not me and having a seizure and feeling that, I was able to talk myself out of it instantly.
Dude, you should have seen when my wife was doing her psychology semester in nursing school.
Yeah.
It was like every day she'd come home from school and be like, hey, you know how you do this? That's actually a trauma response. Like, you know how you run into walls or forget shit like easily? But I'm like, I just thought that was me. I thought it was normal, Like, there's so many like signs that we just don't really know about.
Right. Because your body, your mind, once you get into panic mode, once you start down that path of anxiety, you have to catch it like that. If you don't catch it, it will progress, and then you will have a full-blown panic attack, right? Yeah. And listen, every once in a blue moon, I still have them, right? But generally, it's like, look, Scott, you've had this panic attack about 800,000 times now. You're alive. You've gone through the same stupid nonsense. You think you're having a heart attack. You think you can't breathe. You think you're doing this. Get up, walk around, breathe. Me, I like to actually be in a semi-social atmosphere and then breathe, and then even when it's fully on, I can catch it and I can stop it, right? Because that is something I've trained myself to do. But you have to train yourself to do that. It's, if you don't find that connection of what sets you off, you're going to keep having that problem. So finding the key to what's setting you off, like for you guys, it may be lightning, right? Thunder.
Oh yeah.
Right? It may be that. And then you're like,
I flinch like a bitch when I hear that shit.
Yeah. And then once all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's just thunder. You'll be able to calm yourself down. Oh, you know what? That was because of that. And then you can start that is the best advice that I can possibly give to people there.
Yeah. I would just add to it, catching it before it gets too bad.
Right.
Like for me, if I hear a noise in the house, I get my gun, I check the whole house.
Right.
That's not necessarily bad that I have to do that. Like,
no,
I'm preparing for the worst. I was trained to prepare for the worst.
It's a net positive.
Not bad. Yeah. But when a firework goes off, I look outside. I look and see, like, is there anyone near my house? Is there anyone yelling? Like, just catch it. That's that. I mean, You hit it on the head.
Yeah, as long as, listen,
Yeah.
if you know where it's coming from, you know it's not coming from you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude. I got rear-ended like a month after I got back from Afghanistan, bro.
Yeah.
And my wife said I like went like this and like covered my ears and all this shit, right?
Oh, for real?
I don't remember that at all. No, I just remember
Yeah.
kind of coming to when I got rear-ended. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Listen, that's. I mean, that's the immediate reaction. The impulse is going to. I mean, look, yeah, the impulse of, even to this day, the impulse and the reaction of an outside source affecting me will still get to me, and will still start the process of anxiety. It's just, yeah, but you know, as long as you're not going full panic attack mode, like, you have to sort of talk yourself off the ledge. Nobody else can do that, man. You have to talk yourself off the ledge. And that's a learnable thing to do. So to end suicide, and these are our fellow brothers and sisters that do that, all they need to really learn is the belief to talk themselves off the ledge, to know that it's possible. Because I think, like you said, the desperation and the despair and the anxiety, and it comes from the lack of belief that things are going to get better.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
So,
like you're invalidating yourself almost.
right. Like, for example, you guys, like, is there, the biggest thing is, why am I going to go forward? Why? What's the point? Like, these people,
Oh,
veterans.
I said that so many. I
Oh,
called my
God.
mom and said that when I was
Yeah.
getting out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lord.
I've been doing it for 20 years, man. You know?
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm an expert at convincing myself that what's the point. But I literally just, and this was actually the other day, actually, before we even talked, I had a sort of an epiphany, right? There's a lot of medical advances. A lot of people are going through things that are a lot freaking worse than what I went through. Okay. I mean, there's people out there that have what I have. On top of it, they have things like lupus, they have diabetes, they have cancer on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, who the hell, like, you know what, as far as compared to them, I'm a freaking healthy person that'll live forever.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, somebody's always got it worse, man. It's like, if they can find happiness in what they do.
Like, you're not putting what happened to you in a box and just not thinking about it.
I'm not doing that. No, I am absolutely thinking about how to get past it. Always, ever evolving. How do I, and one thing that I just did, actually, because that whole, it's that weight of the rest of your life on top of your head. That's what people kill themselves over, right? It's, why am I going to go on? There is no moving forward for me. I'm in a hopeless spot. And any of us here could have gone down that path. Especially, you know, like, Trevor, you went through this, and you went through a divorce. I didn't have to go through a divorce. So in that way, you went through more than I did, right?
Yeah.
Because being responsible for somebody's feelings is a huge burden. Okay. So,
Yo, oh my God, dude.
So I had to think, like, why am I going to work my ass off? If I live 10, 15 years, like, what am I going to work for? Why am I going to do this? Why am I just going to, but then on the other side of me, I'm like, well, I'm not quitting. But the other day I actually had an epiphany, like I was telling you, and I've decided to, because everything in life is all about mindset and how you look at things, right? That's it. Your mind is so powerful. I decided to look at myself as a 20-year-old kid. And how that's going to help me is, look, I'm 20, I'm 50, I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 next month, right? So in my regard, do I really have the rest of my life? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know how long I'll live, but I know this. People are living a lot longer. There's a lot of medical things. Can you become massively successful in 20 years and create change? Abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, look at these people like Warren Buffett and in the investment world, guys like Larry Fink. Larry Fink, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's the world's largest asset manager, I believe.
Oh, the BlackRock guy.
Yeah, the BlackRock guy. He's 70 years old. This guy is not slowing down, man.
Yeah.
He owns the world. He controls everything, right? 70 plus years old. Warren Buffett, 92 years old. His business partner, 99 years old. You know, they do what they love to do. That's why they're still alive. That's why they're still going strong. So, you know, for me, that was a huge part of it. Like, holy crap, these guys are 70. I'm sitting here, and every day I still fight. Wait, I still fight against the fact, well, am I 100% normal? Can I still do the things that everybody else is doing? Or is there something that's physically wrong? Like, you look at me and I look normal, right? I'm not overweight. I'm in good shape. I'm active. I run Tough Mudders. I haven't run one in years, but maybe you guys and we can start a group and we can start running Tough Mudders together. I have another friend that would love to do that.
I would have guessed 35 for the record, right quick.
I appreciate that. I got a bit more gray, but yeah, I'm 49. I'll be 50 next month. And you know, what I always tell people is, look, I learn from my experiences. I know people because I'm not the only one that goes through everything that I go through.
Right.
Everybody generally goes through the same sort of emotions in life in some way or another, but for whatever reason, different reasons, right? So being able to analyze yourself and is the number one key factor to improvement. Most people don't want to analyze themselves because they're afraid of what they're going to look at.
Yo, oh my God, dude.
Yeah, and well, it's tough because you don't want to look at yourself and see all the darkness, but at the same time, it's a lot better than ignorance. Like, you're just blissfully ignorant. It's tough because once it starts, it doesn't stop. You're going to analyze yourself, like you said. I'll be doing this for 20 years.
Yeah,
and I would much rather have it this way than 5 years down the line catch myself again with suicidal thoughts and trying to go through something like that. It's so much better. So anybody listening that's thinking about just looking in the mirror for a second, do it. Just do it, because it's way better doing that.
Look in the mirror.
Way better.
There is someone very close to me that does that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's and I'll tell you what really changed my mind the other day, and my mindset was the fact that, again, mindset, man, learning from other people, having mentorships is mentors, and you guys are mentors, man, to a lot of people. You know, being mentors is very helpful for somebody to actually believe in what you're telling them and give them hope, because that's what mentors do, and inspiration. I mean, you guys have a huge platform to do that, which is fantastic, which is why I wanted to come on this show, because people at my age, right, that are still suffering, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I actually thought it was the end of the world. It's not. Look at these other, look, according to this, I could live 30, 40 years and be immensely successful. And it's not the end of my life. Could I die tomorrow? Yeah. Could I croak right this second on the phone with you? Absolutely. But
hopefully not.
But there is hope to become successful even in your elderly years. So that mental state, learning from other people's experiences, learning about yourself, learning how to improve your mental state. I mean, Trevor, like you said, you know, what your sister said, was it about not validating your own feelings?
Yeah, no,
there's nothing wrong with validating how you feel. You have to. I mean, I was sort of incorrect. You have to validate how you feel, or at least, let me just use this from my experience. I have to validate how I feel, because if I don't, I'm not going to improve.
Right.
Right.
You have to acknowledge it. Yeah.
I have to acknowledge. You have to acknowledge, like, but you don't let it hinder you. You use that as an example. Like, you right now, you both are. How old are you, gentlemen?
I'm 27.
Okay, so you're still 25. In your 20s. So you're still in your 20s, man. You guys have the world at your fingertips, and you guys can help so many veterans. You know, and you are apparently already helping so many veterans, man. And that's, you know, your experiences and how you're working through it is. And learn and again, taking advice from and having people like myself on the show. And even though I don't have wartime necessarily PTSD, you know, we're all brothers at the same fight when it comes to medical injuries and PTSD, right?
Well, yeah, and on top of that, that's what we realized when we started the podcast. Initially, it was for veterans, and then we realized, just like you're saying, it's the same fight for anyone living in the normal world too. Like, it's not just us. This is a problem that's steadily increasing because we don't know how to deal with it. And like we were saying earlier, this isn't something you go out to lunch. You guys are planning to go out to lunch and just comes out. This isn't a conversation that just comes out when you come home from work and you're talking to your wife or your friend or whoever. We're doing this to set time aside purposely for a conversation like that. And it's a lot easier to do that so you could prepare your mind. All right, I'm going into this, and this is what's going to happen. To me, I get excited about it because I know I'm going to learn. I learned. I'm going to tell you how many things I wrote down because I learned, and it's whether it's all the same mind. And I can't remember what psychologist did it, but I learned this in my last psychology class. They put the emotions you go through from age like 0 to 16, and it's generally speaking, but every human's going to have shame and guilt at age 0 to 2 or 2 to 4, and they're able to put, I can't remember, I tried to look it up, I can't remember who it is, but I think Erickson, whatever. Yeah, but yeah, you go through the same emotions, and it's just some people don't recognize the emotion, like you're saying. You can look at yourself, look at what happened, and for me, it sucks that I'm like, oh, how stupid do I feel? I went to the Bears versus Bucks game recently, and at the Bucks stadium, they have a huge cannon that goes off every time they score.
Oh, hell no.
And when that happened, I like freak out because I don't expect it. It just comes out of nowhere. And my first thought was, all right, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, we're good. And then the second thought is, how stupid am I? Like, I should know this is happening.
But you see, but you're saying, like, not to interrupt you. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I just like you are a perfect example of talking yourself out of a problem. That's exactly what you have to do. I think what psychotherapists and what psychologists and the therapists do is all they do is get you to figure out via questions and internal soul searching what the root of a problem is, because you can't help until you figure out what the root of the problem is. That's all. That's what they're designed to do. Ask you questions. Why do you feel? That's why you every movie. So tell me, Doc, why am I doing this? Well, tell me why you think you're doing this.
Exactly. I was listening to Jordan Peterson say that's the role of a psychologist. It's to get you to come to the conclusion. I'm not supposed to tell you. I got way too many biases to tell you what's going on. You got to come to that conclusion. But it's
weird you can get to that conclusion and you can figure it out, you're never going to get to the root of the problem and be able to help yourself. Depression is a worldwide epidemic, man. It's massive, especially now with the competition and the fast pacedness. I mean, there's so many people that suffer from depression, whereas like 100 years ago, almost nobody had probably depression.
Right.
Life was much simpler back then.
But like, we're afraid to be open and talk about that kind of stuff. Like when I was in, it's called ALC in the Army. If y'all don't know, it's to become an E6. But I knew there was going to be a part in this like commandant's challenge where like a grenade thing would go off, and it was really loud. And I told like everyone there, I was like, dude, I have issues with this kind of stuff. Like if I just I don't know what's going to happen, but if something does happen, like you take charge and you be like his number 2.
Right.
But like they were so open about it. It's like, why was I nervous to tell them? As if they're going to be like, oh, Kev, you're such a bitch, dude.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Nobody. So just like they tell you, like nobody knows the experience of going through the military until you've gone through the military and you've created that bond.
Yes,
because I mean, let's face it, the biggest bond in the world is the brotherhood of military people, right? Starting with your own and then branching out to the others. But so unless they go through it, they're not going to know what the hell's going on within your mind, man. And they might even go through it and they may not know about whatever it is. But, that's why guys like you are doing amazing things, because no, it's not easy. I'm not just going to go up and talk to a stranger and tell them I have, I don't like telling anybody. First off, because I don't want anybody's pity. First off, I don't want somebody to be like, oh, I don't want them to give me the old, oh, well, Scott, thank you for the whole fake thank you for your service thing, and I don't know if it's fake, but the whole thank you for your service thing, and whatever, and it's like, oh, you did it. Listen, I would just rather go on with my life and move on and not get a pity party about it. But that's the first thing. The second thing is it's not an easy thing to bring up, because
like you're saying, no one understands it. And if that's what me and Kevin are like, I thoroughly believe that's why I want to do this, is because a big solution to this is getting more veteran psychologists in the VA and veteran psychologists to help veterans. Because when I go and talk to just the normal Joe Schmo, who's a great psychologist, there's still that little border that's saying they didn't do this. They don't know what this is. They could look at movies. They can try and figure it out, but they don't know. They haven't lived it, so it's hard for them to give me an answer.
Right.
And that's what started the podcast. Honestly, is I was going to therapy every other month or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not getting it, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. So I'm gonna just hop on here and try to explain it to everybody. Hopefully, someone gets it.
You know, I'm a firm believer that most people, caveat, most people have the ability to fix themselves, right? And think about this. If anybody was trained to get over something, it was military people.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way that you're trained, the mindset that you're trained to rationalize, you're trained to problem solve, you're trained to be calm in situations where most people would go losing their freaking minds, right? Mm-hmm. And to be able to have that thought process, I think a lot of veterans forget their own capabilities, their own power within them. That, listen, I've been through this sort of thing before a million times. I've just never actually done it on myself.
Yeah.
Never utilized the same principles I use in the military to create a strategy for myself on how to deal with this.
Right. And me and Kevin were talking about that when we got out. We were trying to start business after business, just trying to find something to do.
Yeah.
And then finally, after we stopped all the businesses, we got to think about just what to do next. And that was what it was. I was like, Kevin, we already have the discipline. We know we can get up every morning, go run, and then go work 12 hours and go home and be fine.
Absolutely.
We've done it. We know we could do it, but the difference is you have to do it for yourself now. You're not doing it for this big machine.
Right.
You're doing it for you.
Yeah. Like no one's waking up and thinking, how can I generate more leads for realtors?
Yeah.
Like that don't work, bro. Like,
well, you got a million people out there competing against you. First off, like it's way oversaturated.
But like when people will message us and be like, hey, we were hurting, but we watched your show. We don't make a cent from this podcast. We don't make any money. But when people hit us, like Trevor just showed me a message last night of a dude that we helped. Like that makes it all worth it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think at the end of this podcast, gentlemen, we'll go ahead and we'll set up a time personally, the three of us. I think we should, where we can have another conversation about something else about your business behind the scenes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's it. Yeah. Look, I again, you have to train yourself to believe that you're able to do that. Like it's a never ending battle. When I was first a stockbroker, they used to have 1 million, this was back in the days of, I guess, Wolf of Wall Street, back in the early 90s, right? Was when I was working on Wall Street. In these brokerage firms, they always had these amazing, motivational sayings everywhere, man. This is such a, because, and one of them was, there was numerous that I haven't seen them in 30 years. I've never forgotten them. Like, for example, there's only 2 ways a 21-year-old kid can make $500,000 a year: selling drugs in Wall Street, right? Yeah. Something like that. So, and then there's another one where, you have to constantly fight to keep yourself motivated. Okay. And if you can't be motivated, then you use discipline on those days.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a trade-off. The days that you're not motivated, that's when discipline comes into it. Tell me that as military people, we don't have freaking discipline. Okay. We have discipline. We know discipline, man. That's in our blood. Right. And so there's nothing that military people can't accomplish based upon those factors. If you can't motivate yourself, use discipline. If you're not, if you have the motivation, you're energized, use motivation, use conviction. So I had a point. I don't remember what it was, but
should I have a question then? If you're not a military guy, how do you build that discipline? Can you?
Yeah, you have it. Well, you learn from others, right? So I am personally not motivated by money. However, I am in a highly lucrative career path where there's a lot of money. So why the hell am I in this career path if I don't if I'm not? Money is a byproduct, right, of what I do. And what I love to do is I love to wheel and deal, man. I love putting deals together. I love financial strategies, and I love planning. I love going to guys like you that are starting out sometimes and saying, hey, look, you guys create this amount of money. This is what you're going to retire at. And you're 25 years old. When you start making money, if you start putting $1,000 away a month, you guys are going to be, you're going to end up millionaires by the time you're 60. Like, that's a given. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
How much? I don't know. But you will be a millionaire by the time you're 60 years old if you start putting money away the right way now. That's not rocket science, man. Rocket science, what I love to do is when things are crashing and when things are all up in the air, people screaming at me because they don't know what the hell's going on because the world's going to end, right? That's when I love to wheel and deal and start making, things happen for people. So I get that excitement out of it. I get ecstatic when I help people. When I put a smile on people's faces and they're freaking happy, that's my motive. The money is just a byproduct of that. So
that's exactly what we're saying. The currency we get from this is when I get a text from somebody saying that they're dealing with suicidal stuff and they know to come to me, or with my divorce. I have someone very, very close to me going through a divorce, and he knows that he could come to me for answers. He's 5 years, 6 years older than me, but he knows if I go to Trevor, he'll have an answer and he'll be able to talk about it.
Yeah. And as long as you're the biggest, I think also, the problem, here's also the problem. First off, people that don't have depression, they don't suffer from depression, don't really know generally what the signs of depression are. And even people that do have depression probably don't know in most cases, because again, that takes a modicum of self what's the word I'm looking for?
Like
introspectiveness, introspection, right? You need to be introspective in order to understand, which is what makes me very good with people in not to brag or anything, but why I'm so good with people is because I am a very introspective person. Everything that I go through, other people go through. What I go through is not a mystery in life. It's not anything different. Everybody goes through the same emotions. And why I go through something, like I can figure out why I say something to somebody. I can tell when I'm being bitter to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I saying this? So therefore, if I know why I'm doing it, I know when other people are doing it to me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You understand what my point is?
Yeah. Whoa. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm thinking different over here, Scott. Good.
Yeah. So you need that self-introspectiveness, man, because that's what makes you grow as a person. And that's what helps you with other people, especially, right? And guys in your position definitely need to do that.
Like, don't wait on an external source.
No,
take charge of your life.
Learn from yourself, learn from others as well, because that just expedites the process. But if you don't know why you're saying something, how the hell are you supposed to know why somebody else is saying something to you?
Golly.
So that's something I learned. And you want to know something? I was like 23 years old, I think, when I picked this up, because ultimately it was about, everybody used to tell me, Scott, you always have an excuse. Scott, you always have an excuse. Scott, you always blame other people. Scott, you always blame other people. And after like the 100th person telling me this, I finally realized to myself, well, shit, maybe it is me, man. Maybe it is me. Maybe I am the problem. And then from there, you start concentrating on, well, what the hell else am I doing that's not good? What the hell else how else do I improve myself? Like all these guys like Jeff Bezos and all these other people they all learn from other people. They all have mentorships. Jamie Dimon, right? Granted, most people didn't have his life to start out with, right?
Yeah.
But Jamie Dimon had, even at his level, because he came from a very wealthy family, he was a very privileged person. He's the CEO of the largest bank in the country, which is Chase. And that guy has had an amazing career, but he started off very arrogant, believing he was better than everybody else, and his mindset got him there. And then he got a career doing something. I mean, the kid was 28 years old. He was negotiating $100 million deals.
Yeah,
dude, I learned that
he had a mentor that helped him do that.
Like my last year and a half in the Army, I realized if you just say like, yeah, I fucked that up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. People will just it just diffuses them instantly.
Yeah. No, that's right. Most people look, man, I'm not a corporate guy. Okay. I am not a corporate guy. I've worked at USAA. I am not a corporate guy. Even I worked at USAA when I got out, trying to get back, because the only thing I could do was go back into finance, because that's all I ever did. So I went to USAA to start with after there. And you know, like I literally had, yeah, I'm not the right person. I am not a good fit for corporations due to the pettiness of, again, what we've spoken about, the NCOs of the corporate world, which are managers and directors and so forth and so
Oh, let me get
Oh.
started, man.
Pop off. Pop off, bro.
Come on,
Uh,
Trey.
Talk to him, bro.
dude. So I
Talk to
started
me,
back
Goose. Yeah, talk to me,
Yo.
brother.
at Home Depot, and it was pretty funny. We had like a little town hall, so the store manager brought us in and asked us what we thought was good and what was wrong. I didn't have anything
Roger.
good for her, but when she came to what was wrong, I was the only person. I showed up with a piece of paper that had everything I had on it. I was the
Yeah.
only person in there with a piece of paper, and
So
I
you were
just went
highly
through.
fucking motivated at that point, man.
Yeah,
You were a freaking high speed soldier right there, ready to
yeah,
go.
Yeah, with the
yeah.
little green notebook.
Right,
I'm
right,
like,
right.
I'm like, this is what is wrong. This is how you fix it. And she had an excuse for everything, and most of the excuses were corporate won't let me. And I'm like, so like, then
And that
you
might
have
be a valid excuse, but it's a nightmare.
Bring it
yeah,
up then,
exactly.
though. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, so do I have to call them? Like, do I need to get the corporate on the phone then? Because you
Right.
can't do anything right now. All of these problems, these are problems consistently happening from one Home Depot to the next.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we can't solve them. We just have to live in this. This is
Yeah. You have to
ridiculous.
live in that bubble.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I am not a caged animal, man. I am not out there to satisfy somebody's ego. All right. Which is why I ended up just leaving USAA, because I used to, I mean, look, I don't recommend my type of personality to everybody. This is not good advice. I do not recommend it, but I'm the guy that will go over there and question the assistant vice president sitting next to me. You know,
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. My store
you
manager
know, I
came up.
literally,
Yeah.
so I my downfall there was because, you know, I was supposed to have a private conversation with the assistant vice president, and he ended up ratting me out to my manager.
Whoa.
And so one day we were in the gym together at the corporate gym, company gym in San Antonio, and he walked up to me and put his hand out to shake my hand, and I just turned my back and walked away, you know, because it was like, to me, that's a huge insult. But that starts your decline at a company like that. Then at that point, it's like, okay, this guy's cancer, and then I'm starting to yell out, "Look, I hate my job," you know, and he's sitting right next to me. He comes running out, and it's like, you know, that they don't want that, man. That's not what they want.
You didn't
They don't want a
insinuate,
guy like me.
didn't insinuate you were in the mafia or something?
No. No, so you know, but they don't want that, and it's not a good thing for people that love that type of people. Need that steady income.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
me, I you know, I can't work under constraints. I can't work with people above me generally because of the fact that generally most of those people are very petty. You know, and they're doing everything is personal to them, and they don't care if what their decision is the wrong decision. They don't care of whether or not it's the right thing for the company. So,
Shit, I had like a month in the Army, right? And we go to this like town hall with the battalion commander and sergeant major.
yeah,
And I was getting out in like 2 months. I just didn't give a shit. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to speak my mind, right?
right.
And someone complained about us flying too much, and the battalion commander's trying to like get out the way of this question, like, oh, it's not my fault, all this nonsense. I was like, sir, it's called the battalion commander's flying program. You control this. It's on you. Like the buck stops with you. Last I checked.
Yeah.
Like
that's, you know what? That's exactly what I am all for that, Kevin, because I believe that the problem with society is that people are not held accountable anymore for anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm too upset about this because the election, or you're being too harsh. You can't tell me the truth because it's not fair, and you know, I don't want to work as hard because it's not right, and I don't want to be held accountable for my career. So it's exactly what that is, and it goes up to all levels.
Yeah, like this is a problem though. Why? Because people don't tell him this tit. People just blow smoke up his ass all the fucking day.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And those people, you know, are not my kind of people generally. You know,
Yeah.
I know people that, you know, generally people, you know, are terrified in life, you know, of losing their position. To me, whenever I make a change, I am excited about it, man. Life is ever evolving. And one other thing that military people tend to forget, at least at our level, right? At our level, like if you're talking about Navy SEALs and Delta Force and like these people probably know how adaptable they are to any situation, right? And maybe even you guys do because you've been over it. But one thing that soldiers forget is we've been trained to adapt. And that adapting in that mindset of being able to switch immediately to something else and create a strategy is what makes us so
Lethal.
profoundly needed in life, especially when it comes to things like corporations and things of this nature. And it's what gives us it's what should give us even more confidence than the average person.
Right.
Because the average person hates change. We welcome change, or we should, which is why, Trevor, like you're going through a situation that you went through. And Kevin, I don't know if you're still going through that situation with the VA. You're still obviously both suffering from this. But as soon as you guys, what you really need, and I don't know if you need to do this, you may be already doing it, but the fact that you guys are going through this and you have that experience and how to get rid of the triggers, how to get rid of the onset of your PTSD. You can, and you've been speaking about it, like the second you realize it's something outside of your control, it's not you're okay, you're fine. I mean, not necessarily fine, but you don't go into full panic mode, right? Hopefully, in most cases.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do rarely, but it happens, right? But I can always get myself out of it. So, that's that right there, man. If you can save people's lives because of yours experience, man, and the experience that you two have together, there's nothing greater on the planet. And by effect of that, you guys are going to blow up. And I already have a feeling that you guys are going to blow up. And I hope so. I look forward to that as well.
Thank you.
We will. Yeah. Thank you, man. I'm sorry, Charlie.
Yeah, you're good.
No, well, okay, you got your famous last question?
Yeah. Real quick, a funny story about that meeting I was just telling you about.
Yeah.
The only other thing I said was there was this guy telling the battalion commander, we need more off time when we go TDY, which is just traveling for a job, normally about a week or two.
Right.
And this freaking nerd from S1 down in the front, he was like, well, we can have time off and do team building too. Like runs or some shit, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry, bro. No one's getting off work 14 hours and wanting to run up a hill. Like, we're trying to go out and drink and have fun, right?
Right.
He's like,
so this is like one of those, Captain America guys.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
an S shop's nerd, bro.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you can team build but not drink. I'm like, yeah, you can do it while you're drinking too, bro. Like, this is
team building is the best team building is the best when you're drunk, man, because people say shit that you can that they never would say if they weren't.
Arguing in front of the whole battalion, bro. I'm like, this fucking nerd, man.
That's so again, you have a sheep. That guy's a sheep, right? He's not necessarily a leader.
Yeah. After though, like a bunch of people came up and thanked me, so I was glad I said something. But
a lot of the military are sheep, man. They need that they need somebody to tell them what to do. So they need you guys, these guys that are out there that are suffering from this illness, and the ladies, of course, and our brothers and sisters. They need you guys to tell them what to do. They need your help. Some of them, they really do. In terms of that aspect, like some of them know they need help. The ones that don't know, they need your help. And that's great that you're helping them out.
Yeah, thankfully we've been through a lot, but I'm gonna send our final question then. What was a lesson you had to learn the hard way?
How to fix myself. I try not to rely on outside help. I didn't go to a therapist. I wanted to deal with it myself, because I knew that if I could deal with it myself, it would be forever change. Like quitting smoking. Once I quit smoking, I knew that I would quit. If I did it myself, I knew that I could quit smoking forever. Right. So quitting smoking was a barometer. You can quit smoking. You can pretty much quit anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a motivator. But on top of that, it was like, look, I'm what you call an autodidact. I love self-learning and self-teaching. Okay. I believe that people can learn anything that they want. Okay. It was, of course you need help in some cases, but it was important for me to change my mindset. That was the first thing I had. That was the most important. That was the hardest thing to do, is change my mindset, man. Realize, and the only way you can change it is by learning from yourself and other people, right? Introspectiveness again. You have to be introspective in order to learn from yourself. And the only, and again, learning from learning how to deal with a situation. And the only way to be able to learn to teach myself was to figure out what the hell was wrong with me, why I was going through what I was going through, and then try to create a positive change. And it's never like smoking, like we talked about, Kevin. It's never permanent, right? You're never just going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm freaking awesome now. I'm fantastic.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Worry about it. Yeah. Sorry, man. That does not happen. That's not realistic. It's an ever ongoing process. And I would sit myself down and be my own therapist, man, and really be hard on myself.
You got
right?
to.
Because if you don't, you're never going to get to the root of the problem, right? So that's that right there. Hopefully that answers your question, man. Mindset is everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask one more because you've said this a lot. Learn from others. Who's the biggest person that I guess gave you more inspiration? Who did you learn from the most?
Well, unfortunately, I never had a great father figure in terms of mentorship and learning from, and that is usually the best, right? That is the best you can possibly ask for. I have learned from anything, people from like Jocko Walling, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Good.
Andrew Huberman, for example.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Warren Buffett, people that are at the top of life, the 1% people that really, really have control of their lives, that really are, that can really, people like Tony Robbins, who says things like, like, there's not a morning in the world I wake up and I want to jump into that fucking ice bath. Not a morning. I do not wake up ever saying I can't wait to jump into that fucking ice bath. My mind tells me, no, you're not. But and this is what he literally said on a podcast. It's like, there's no fucking negotiating. There is no negotiating. I say we do. There is no negotiating. That, if you can get to that level of discipline and mindset, you are a 1% person in life. You are a 1%er. And that, whether you get to the 1% or not, because it is not easy. And I consider myself a highly disciplined individual, but I still have a long way to go. Right. And as long as you're ever changing and you're always introspective and your mindset is always like, in the mornings, man, I used to wake up, be like, crap, I'm tired. I'm this. I don't. And then you boom, light switch. I'm not tired. Why the hell am I tired? I'm not tired. Actually, why the hell am I thinking like this? Right. Okay. Why am I thinking like this? Oh, I just woke up. I feel like shit. I don't want to freaking wake up. Nobody.
Yeah.
Yo.
Okay. So your mind's always going to be shitty in the morning, right? Groggy until you wake up. And then within an hour, it's like, okay, mindset, happiness, man. Good music, put some fucking good vibes on. Get that mindset going. Think about my goals. Because look, man, I believe also that people are generally only happy in most cases, again, not all cases, when they have goals in life and they're accomplishing those goals in life, when they're striving to reach those goals, they have a purpose.
Ooh.
Right? So those are key factors. I was just listening to Dana White. You know who he is, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
The MM or the UFC guy.
Yeah. And he said something very profound, and I'm not like a huge fan of that guy. Right. But he said something very profound. I watched even just yesterday, which was, you have to be a fucking beast. Even Jordan Peterson says that. You have to be a fucking beast, right? Yeah. You have to go all in. If you want that lifestyle as much as you want, you can gain. You just have to be willing to go all in for it, right? Meaning, everything else comes second. Everything, generally. Now, granted, there are highly successful people that have great family life as well, but in the beginning, man, you have to sacrifice that. You have to sacrifice. Friends are going to leave you. You have to sacrifice that. If you don't want to give up your friends, because friends are going to be like, oh, well, you haven't talked to me and you don't hang out with me and, whatever. And people get upset and then you lose contact. Fine, man. Look, a real friend is going to support you. They're going to be there for you. Even when you're ready, they'll be there for you. They'll be like, Scott, man, it's been so long. Let's get together. And so, yes, I learned from everybody, man. I am a sponge. Be a sponge.
Yeah, even if you fail too, like Trevor and I were trying to run a business
Yeah.
earlier this year. We were working like 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and it
Yeah.
failed. It's like, but we went all in on that, and we'll never have to wonder what would have happened if we did that.
Yeah.
So even
Listen,
if you fail,
every failure, as long as you don't quit, you'll never be a failure. You may fail at times, but you will never be a failure in life because you will never give up. Right. And that's what people don't understand. If you quit, then yeah, you failed. You're a failure. One of my favorite quotes in life, and I use this, and I use this in my business. I use this when it comes to everything. Failure is never failure. Okay. Failure is the game that you have to play to win. Okay. Look at Thomas Edison. People go up to him, and this is one of my favorite quotes. And I don't know the exact quote, but something like this. Like somebody went up to him and asked, well, how does it feel to know that you failed 1,000 times at creating the light bulb? He said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I figured out 1,000 different ways on how not to make the light bulb.
Yeah, that was a national treasure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you cannot find a better attitude to success in life than that. That's it, man. You guys, well, oh my God, you guys failed in 3 businesses. I didn't fail in 3 businesses. I learned 3 different ways on how not to run a freaking business, man. That's what I did.
We realized it's only a failure if you don't learn from it.
You're only a failure if you don't learn from it and you give up. That's it. That's it, man. So
quick little note though on this whole self-reflecting process: be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
You are not going to turn into Jocko Willing overnight.
No, you're not. Absolutely not, man. This takes years and years and years. I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm still doing it. Again, it's never going to stop. It's just a matter of every day we'll get a little bit better. Every week we'll get a little bit better. And once it's like losing weight, right? My friend, he's like, I tell him, I was like, David, you eat a ton of carbs, man. Now, carbs in itself are not bad. But did you know that for every carbohydrate you eat, it retains almost 3 grams of water? This is why you walk around bloated. This is why you walk around puffy. You eat 100 carbs. That's 300 grams of water weight you just put on. You eat 1,000, calorie meal. How many of that is carbs? 40, like 200 grams of carbs or whatever. Let me just do the math, man. Over the week, you're just going to look like, once you stop that, you remember that Atkins diet back 20 years ago or
hell yeah.
You stop eating carbs, you will lose all that weight. People are like, oh, I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. Like, well, it's not fat, it's water is what you're losing. But yeah, so it's a never-ending process, man. It's like losing weight. Once you see yourself losing the weight, you're more motivated to keep losing weight, right?
Yep.
So once you say, oh my God, you know what? Holy crap, I was able to talk myself down from the ledge right there.
I mean, the fact that it takes so long is kind of cool too. I mean, what else would you do? Gives you something to do.
Right. Yeah. But you can figure out, like, holy crap, what the hell did I just do that just helped me right there? You have to, if you don't think about that, it's going to keep happening. You're never going to get any better, man.
Yeah.
That's if that's what I can impart. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Scott. Thanks for listening.
Hopefully, I hope it was good enough for you guys. So hopefully, scaring away the people.
Like I said,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll just say it. Have you ever been on a podcast before, Scott?
No.
Wow. Okay.
Another first timer.
Wow.
That's what we love, man. We love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, you did very well, man.
Come back on in any other way, shape, or form possible, too, guys. I love talking to you guys. You guys are badass. So, listen. I have other military friends that would love to talk to you guys as well. Most likely,
man.
These guys are. I have a network of guys from unemployed trying to start their own businesses to, again, full bird colonels, and I don't think I have a general, but
to all the generals out there, hit us.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I would love to be back. And listen, let's set up a time as well, maybe after this podcast's over, okay, to talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and definitely send those fellows out. We're always looking for more guests, and it makes me feel a lot better when the guest comes to us than us going to the guest, because it makes me know, it helps me know that you're about it. You're willing to come on here and talk about something so crazy and so open.
I don't even know. I might be able to get a command. I have an appointment today with a command sergeant major from SOCOM.
That's what we did. Yeah.
So he just literally retired like a week or two ago from his job at SOCOM after retiring from the military, and he actually got the same exact job as a GS. So
Hats
in
off to
SOCOM.
him, bro. Shit.
So I'll see if he would be. I'll ask him if he would be all right in doing that for you guys.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
real,
I'll at least see if I can have you guys give him a call. So
Yeah,
yeah, no, that'd be
I'll let
huge.
you guys
Just
know.
talk to him.
I'll
Yeah.
talk to other veterans that I know and that are disabled and see if they can't give you some great advice as well. So
yeah,
Wow.
perfect. Well,
or
again, thank you so much.
no problem.
Even calling you the other day, I knew it was going to be a good one. So very.
Well, I'm a great story. I'm just kidding.
No, it was
Oh,
perfect,
yeah.
man. Like I said, excited every podcast because the unknown it excites me. The unknown excites me. We know
Yeah.
something.
Listen, I
Very
hope
fast.
you guys become like the new Hodge twins.
Yeah,
A little bit better though.
A little bit better, a lot better. But
Yeah.
they blew up being patriotic guys, but they're just doing general stuff. They're not even doing a podcast that's really geared
Yeah.
towards the veterans necessarily, and mental illness. So
Much less an apolitical one, so to speak.
yeah. But this is for a
Yo.
really good cause.
We
And I'll
got
tell you what, I might at some point I would like to start. I was talking to my therapist friend who's not military in any way, but at some point I would love to start an endowment, raise money, a lot of money. We're talking, if I could raise up to $10 million, then we could actually do like an endowment where the proceeds of those funds, which would, maybe at a very 4% a year of 10 million, that's $400,000 in over the years. Even starting off with $1 million, if you invested if you gave just the interest on that, basically minus expenses or whatever, and you put to start with $1 million, you could probably give away $30,000 a year towards mental health.
Yeah.
So my goal is to ultimately raise money for exactly this kind of thing, which is why I wanted to come on here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We can design ads though for this show.
Yeah. Listen. It really takes the right people in order to raise that kind of money. And I literally just started building a network of veterans, right? Because I don't want to just be, another network for veterans. I'm going to be like an Angie's List, but a warm Angie's List. Like I want to be a guy that knows a million veterans personally. And if somebody like you gentlemen say, Scott, do you know anybody? I want to be able to introduce you personally to these people.
Yeah, that was a goal of mine through this as well.
So we can listen, we can talk about this. We can work on how to get this done. Actually, the colonel I just talked to earlier today is a part of a veteran network that's 78,000 strong. Yeah. I got another meeting with him next week to go over stuff, and I'm actually hooking him up because I have a client that, he does other things and investments and things. So I'm actually giving him a referral. So he needs, he's obligated to me.
Yeah, you got it. You owe me one.
So we'll find out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But listen, if we're serious about this, and you guys obviously are, listen, and you guys can help me when it comes to podcasts, man, because I need to start doing podcasts. And if you guys could be a huge help, and again, this is pro bono when I'm talking. I'm not talking about sales. I'm not a slimy scumbag salesperson. I'm talking about, look, one thing our veterans need also on top of mental health is financial help, man. That is one thing that especially enlisted people, officers, I found out, they get financial training in the Army, right?
Yeah, we got like 1 day as enlisted.
You don't even get, but it's dog. Oh, we'll save up 6 months of expenses and you're going to be.
Yeah.
So
thanks.
I'm talking about really helping people create wealth and protect that wealth, right? Like from the ground up. If you started at 11 years old, putting $200 a month into an account that was earning, let's say, I don't know, 4%. By the time you were 60, you'd be a millionaire. Just $200 a month as an 11-year-old.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. I'm in class for that actually right now. I'm doing a bunch of those. Did it right before this podcast. Those are the.
What are you trying to do?
I'm what's explorations in math or something? And that's exactly what I was doing. Like interest rates and all those crazy things.
You need
What
any
car?
help, Trevor? Give me a call, man.
All right,
You need any-
sounds good. Thank you.
Dude.
And listen, guys. It takes time, but you guys, if you guys have this career, you have a path. Listen, I work with a lot of businesses. You guys ever need any information on business valuation, cash flow? If you guys are doing anything, you let me know. I work with a lot of businesses on valuations and cash flow and risk management and shit like that. And of course, obviously, I'm not going to charge you anything just for time, man. This is something that I would love to do to help you guys out. Again, I'm not trying to get rich off of you guys. I don't give a shit about that. I make more than enough money doing other things. So, giving back to you guys, and if you know people, and we can get a network going of where you guys are helping them, and I'm able to help them free of charge, of course, because again, the biggest problem people have, they're worried that it's going to cost them money to work with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Or they think they need to be rich. And if they're not veterans, they probably need to be wealthy, right?
Yo.
I'm not about to do this for anybody because it takes time. But listen, we'll sit down. I want to make sure you guys are highly successful as well. I mean, and I don't mean that in a sort of condescending way by any means. But you guys have a real opportunity because you're young. You're still young, and you guys can still become millionaires, man. It is possible, brother. It really is if you set it up right. And I would love to be able to give you that motivation and that goal. Like, you do this, and this is not a generic thing, dude. We're talking about actual investment strategies and a real financial plan for you guys. And again, I'm only doing this because we have this podcast in common, and you guys are great guys, and I want you to be successful. And especially if you have a family, this is something that you would probably pay maybe anywhere from $500 to $2,000 for. Okay.
Well, shit. Thank you. Golly.
You're very welcome, brother. No. Don't thank me, man. I owe you guys. I owe you guys.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But I really also want to help. I want to find out what your guys' goals are, and we need to keep networking and stay in touch. Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
Let's set up a time next week. What do you guys got next week that we can meet?
We should probably stop recording real quick.
Yeah, we'll end it here.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you at the next one. We'll leave links down below. Got a couple sponsors coming in, so those will be in the description.
Yes, sir.
This was a great meeting, by the way. I didn't even realize 2 hours flew by.
Yeah, it goes every time. It goes like that. But
it's awesome.
Yeah, shoot us a review if you can, fellas. I guess that's how we get up. I don't know too much about podcasting, but on Spotify and Apple and all that crazy stuff, reviews go the longest way. So
we're gonna get
thanks
there.
for tuning in, and we'll see you at the top.